Hi folks, this is a description of what I want you to choose from for the last assignment, where you have a choice of 8 different color techniques, color schemes, and color effects. And I want to sort of walk through them with you to make sure that you understand. So for this assignment, I want you to only choose one of the 8 color schemes or effects, and I want you to choose one that you think will be the most appropriate for what you want to say with your self-portrait. So I'm going to sort of walk through each one and describe to you what it does or how it makes us respond as viewers. So starting out, the first choice that you have is called analogous colors. And by now, I hope you all understand what analogous colors are. And what they are 3 colors that sit next to each other on the color wheel. So it can be any of these choices, but they have to sit next to each other on the color wheel, and you're not blending them. You're using them separately. For all of these choices, you can make tints, tones, or shades of the colors that you choose. But knowing that, sometimes tints, tones, and shades will not work for what it is you're trying to express. So for analogous colors, if I wanted to say, for example, use yellow, yellow-orange, and orange next to each other in my self-portrait, it would be a very hot, very fiery, warm, sort of vibrant appearance. If I were to use cooler colors, it would be softer and quieter and perhaps more moody. Remembering that, again, you're choosing to paint them next to each other. You are not blending them, okay? When you put analogous colors next to each other, they tend to intensify each other also. Okay, the next one are split complementary colors, and that's choosing 3 colors. In all of these choices, you have to use at least 3 colors. So a split complementary situation is where I would choose a color. Say I'm going to choose my blue-green, and I would go down to its complement, and I would split to either side. So my choices would be blue-green, orange, and red-orange. So I would choose those colors next to each other. Again, I am not blending them. When you put complementary colors next to each other, the contrast between them really intensifies and also pumps the color up. And as you can see in the Google slideshow, if you distribute them equally, it gives a lot of balance to the situation. Okay, the next one is called a balanced harmony. So I'm hoping you're following along with the assignment sheet that I've given you. And the balanced harmony is when you go around the color wheel and you pick a color and then you skip as many times as you want, but you always skip the same number consistently. So for example, I choose blue-purple. I want to skip these 2 for the hell of it, and then I would choose red, and then I would skip these 2, and I would use yellow-orange, and then I would skip these 2, and I would use green, and I would skip these 2 and go back to my blue-purple. So in this situation, I'm skipping 2 in between. So I'm using a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 colors. You can skip every other one if you want, or you can skip 3. So if I did this one and I skipped this, skip that, I would choose that one, skip that, skip that, choose that one, boom, 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 and I'd be back to that one. So the 3 is the maximum you can skip, because you remember you have to use 3 colors in anything that you do. So the last one in this color scheme, and what a color scheme is putting together colors for specifically for visual effects, as opposed to, these schemes together for specific visual sort of responses. There is, unlike an effect creates sort of a mood or an atmosphere. These are purely for design purposes. They're purely for a visual response with less sort of attachment to it. So the last one is a simultaneous contrast, and that's probably the hardest thing to do. Simultaneous contrast was a very popular thing to use in the 60s and 70s to create optical effects. It was very big in sort of the LSD era. And what you're going to try to find, and I can't give you the answers here because it's purely experimental, is the use of putting colors together that make your eyes hurt. There's no other way to put it. It's like, wow, I can hardly look at that. So I have a couple of examples of that up on the Google slideshow. Gray works well as one of the colors, and it works well with hot oranges and hot greens and hot purples and hot pinks and hot oranges work. So just these sort of the brighter and the more vibrant mixed with sort of the tints or the duller colors works really well. You're just going to have to experiment to find at least 3 colors, if not more, that would work together. Okay, moving on to color effects. A dominant harmony means that I would pick one color. Say I want to pick yellow-green. And I'm going to pick yellow-green, and I'm going to mix up a big batch of that. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that yellow-green into every other color that I use, so that it is a majority of the color that I end up painting with. So this would be one color, and then I would choose 3 other colors, and I would mix up a majority of this with each of the other colors that I'm going to choose to paint my painting. Excuse me. And what that does is that gives the overall sort of cast of your painting. It looks like you're looking through a tinted glass window, or everybody familiar with their Vuarnet dark glasses that had that weird yellow color to them. That would be sort of the effect. You can create sepias, you can create blue casts, you can do whatever you want in it. And that's a really sort of interesting way to work depending on what you want to say. The next one is called the law of field size or proportion. And that's an old Renaissance term. Don't quite understand where it comes from. But it's a situation where you would choose paint. For example, it doesn't really matter what you would want to choose on the color wheel, but to make the painting itself feel like it's filled with sunshine and heat and lightness and lightness, you would tint all of your colors. So I have some good examples of that. So it feels like it's full of sunshine and it's sort of hot and steamy or whatever. The opposite of that, but what is still called the law of field size, is when you make everything dark. So you're using tones and shades of the colors that you choose, and you're sort of giving this dark, moody, or nighttime sort of atmosphere to your painting. So it doesn't matter where I'm standing. I could be standing outside in the bright sunshine, but if your painting looks like it comes from being in moonlight or inside a dark closet or something, that is called the law of field size. The lustrous effect, which is next on your list, happens when most of your painting, a majority of your painting, is done in tones, dark tones, and shades. Again, any colors you want. But in one small area, you pop a pure color from the color wheel, any color from the color wheel. And that pure color will look like it's glowing. It actually looks like it's glowing if the colors in the majority of the painting are dark enough. Again, remember, we have to be able to see this as a photograph that you've taken of your work. So, but it's very, very effective. And then the next one is the iridescent effect. And that's the same idea where a majority of the painting is quite dark, done in tones and shades, but you again pick a color here and you tint it by adding white. And that tint will look like it's mother of pearl. It will look like it's a piece of satin or something. It's really quite beautiful and very effective when that works too. I've saved the neutrals for the last because this is a little bit trickier to explain. When you're working with neutral colors, what you have to do here is pick 3 different pairs of neutrals. So do you remember a neutral? A neutral is what happens when I take 2 colors. I'm going to take my blue-green and my red-orange, and I'm going to take those from here to here, and I'm going to mix these together like this so that there's a huge array between here to choose from. For example, this is the blue-green, red-orange combination. I hope you can see the whole thing. So the ones on the ends are not neutrals, but everything in here is a neutral. And when you add black or white to these, they become very lifelike and very sort of natural in their appearance. So I'm going to choose 3 different neutrals and say I'm going to pick, let's say I want this one right here to be my hair. Again, it doesn't need to match your skin tone. It doesn't need to match your hair color, but it tends to be more realistic in appearance. So say I want that neutral to be my hair. So then I would pick another neutral. I would pick yellow, green, and that is red purple. So now I've done that experiment, and here is my yellow, green to red purple combinations. And these are posted in files, and they are also in the module. Again, the 2 on the ends, the colors that are on the front of the color wheel, are not neutrals, but when I mix them together, they form all of these neutrals that you see in between. So you get this amazing array of color. So say I want to use this for my skin. So I mix up a big batch of that. I mix up a big batch of each of these 3 neutrals you're going to use. Remembering that I'm going to mix white or black to this. Then I'm going to choose a 3rd neutral. Let's say my 3rd neutral is going to be this color, this combination, purple and yellow. So here is my array from yellow to purple. And again, as you can see, I get this really interesting array of colors. Now the 3rd thing that I might paint would be my shirt, or my glasses, or my lips, or my tongue, or my eyes, or something. So again, a minimum of 3 different pairs making up neutrals, but you can use more neutrals if you want. So what I want to show you is, here is, I hope that this fits my camera. It may not. I might have to do this again. Here are the combinations of neutrals that I already have on the in the module, but you can see there's this really amazing array of choices. You probably can't see this. That are made when you mix these colors together, and they turn out really incredibly. Now, for one of the assignments, I had a separate assignment just to paint your face as realistically as possible using neutral colors. So that is one of the options for you to do, along with the analogous, the split complementaries, the balanced harmonies, the simultaneous, contrast, the dominant harmonies, the law of field size, the lustrous effect, and the iridescent effect, all of which you can just choose one, but each one creating or generating a very different either visual effect or sort of a mood or atmosphere. So that's it. Good luck, and if you have any questions, just let me know.